All right. Good morning, everyone. I am Kevin Stolarski, a marketing manager at Progress, and I'll be your host for today's exciting webinar on the state of load balancing in 2024. Before we begin, I do want to just mention that the lines will be muted during today's presentation, and we are recording today's session. So in the next few days, we'll be sending out a copy of the recording to all the attendees via the email that you register with. During today's webinar, if you do have any questions, we encourage you to ask them through the questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen. We will be waiting to address those questions at the end of today's session, but as we go through today's materials, if you do have questions, please go ahead and enter those in the panel, and we'll try to get to those at the end of today's session. And now I'd like to turn it over to Andy Redmond, Director of America's Solution Engineering at Progress, and our load balancing expert, to kick things off here today. So Andy, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Hey, thanks so much, Kevin, and welcome to the webinar. So we're going to explore the state of load balancing in 2024, as Kevin mentioned. But before we start, I'm going to provide a brief introduction so that you all know who I am. My name is Andy Redmond, obviously, and I'm the Director of America's Solution Engineering, focusing on 4 key products with Progress software. Progress is based in Burlington, Massachusetts. So what are the 4 key products? Well, that's an excellent question. Product number 1 is Progress Chef Enterprise Automation Stack, a full suite of enterprise infrastructure, application, and DevSecOps automation technologies for delivering change quickly, repeatedly, and securely. Chef can assist companies to own the edge and deal with cyber issues by assisting with the challenging areas of incident response. Product number 2 that I cover is Progress Flowmon, an industry-leading AI-based network detection and response, or NDR, solution that detects threats hidden in network traffic. Flowmon focuses on minimizing an IT's attack surface by bridging the gap between perimeter and endpoint security, coupled with providing brilliant network performance monitoring and diagnostics functionality based on the most powerful flow data exporter on the market that generates data down to the application level and measures performance down to the microsecond. It's pretty brilliant. The third product is Progress What's Up Gold. It's an infrastructure management platform enabling complete visibility to everything that's connected to a network to monitor network devices, applications, analyze network traffic, and automate managing configuration backups and restores to reduce errors and support compliance requirements. And finally, the Progress LoadMaster, which is, bar none, the world's most popular load balancer with greater than 100,000 deployments globally. LoadMaster is exceptionally easy to deploy, manage, and publish applications. Gartner peer reviews rates Progress Kemp LoadMaster as the highest reviewed application delivery controller available in the market. And by the way, that's because of our brilliant support team. Oh yeah, grab my email address and reach out after the webinar. I want to hear from you. It's super simple. Andy.redmond@progress.com. That said, with the introduction out of the way, let's dig into the webinar. Let's talk about what our focus will be for the next 30 or so minutes. We'll discuss where load balancing sits today, what is going to impact it in the future, how critical technology is adapting along with the new architectures, industry trends that impact applications, and how to future-proof with Progress Kemp LoadMaster. There are a lot of opinions about what data is real and what's not real. Hence, we sponsored a customer research project with EMA. EMA is an industry analyst firm that knows the application delivery controller market really well. We wanted to hear from the experts on the topic and share that detail with you so that you could benefit along with us. It's a fact. Wise leaders listen to good data before they make key decisions that will affect the success of their business endeavors. But before we examine the data, I want to simplify this discussion. So instead of referring to this technology as application delivery controllers, or ADCs, I'm going to use the term load balancers from this point forward. If I don't, feel free to let me know. I messed up during the Q&A. I sincerely promise not to be offended. So we will discuss where load balancing sits today and the other agenda topics, of course. The other topics in the agenda list are going to be interspersed in the data shared without broken out sections dedicated. Maybe that's a little bit slightly confusing, but it's all going to be there. Trust me. You'll be tooled with the real deal data. Okay. EMA surveyed 315 enterprise load balancer customers in the US, UK, and the DACH region. And they also conducted 6 one-on-one in-depth interviews to drill down into specifics. There's nothing like getting the facts from the horse's mouth, so to speak. What did we learn from our time and money, and what did the data reveal? Great question. First, ease of implementation, something that we have in spades with the Progress Kemp LoadMaster. It's the most important business requirement cited for the selection of vendors. There is a notable focus on capital expenses versus operational expenditures, and in this case, operational impact is of prime importance. There were some considerations that were referenced in the report. Is it easy to configure the new load balancers? Does your team need training in proprietary scripts? How quickly can you scale your fleet? Configuration complexity not only affects deploying applications and services when new requirements are presented by various business units, but there can be a hefty investment in upskilling the technical staff, depending on the technical debt required for the new load balancers that will be deployed. Some vendor equipment requires serious programming for basic app delivery publishing. Okay, we've deployed the load balancers and need to scale the fleet because of application demand from the user base. How easy is that to occur? Will it take days to accomplish because of the complexity of the solution? Ease of implementation matters. The second finding relates to security. In the EMA research, organizations say security is the top feature requirement for their load balancing solutions. Think about it. That's over application acceleration and observability. They found that security risks and incidents are the top driver of change in a load balancing strategy. Let me repeat that statement because it's really important. Security risks and incidents are the top driver of change in a load balancing strategy. Now, if you navigate your web browser over to cvedetails.com and search for major load balancer vendors, what you'll note is that the most well-known load balancing vendor has 821 CVEs. Good gracious, that's intense and quite real. Do you want to publish your critical business applications behind a vendor's load balancer with so many CVEs? Those are critical vulnerabilities. Security is always top of mind for IT buyers, and they look for security capabilities in any platform that their organization adopts, from routers to network monitoring tools. The EMA evidence speaks volumes in this regard. As a general statement, engineers typically don't think of load balancing vendors as security vendors. The typical load balancer engineer thinks of load balancing platforms as networking solutions. Now, I can understand why they think this is. So again, some key considerations for you to think through based on the research. Are you working closely with your security team? Are they aware that a load balancer can increase application security? It can. Do you have security features enabled now? I'll submit that the load balancer sits in what I'll say is the very best position in what I'll term the application publishing service chain. It's the control point for all access into an application environment, and is usually located right before the application farm. It authenticates valid users into those environments, and it ensures, if the features are leveraged, that only valid traffic can enter the environment. For example, if a SQL injection attack is sent through an encrypted communication towards the app environment, and typically they're done in encrypted communications, the load balancer with an available web application firewall, or WAF, should block that attack. So, is your security team involved in decision making? Do you even want them to be? Do they know the power of an enabled load balancer to decrypt traffic, inspect it for data integrity with a WAF, and for traffic that is golden? Or is that functionality simply not used because there is trust in the border firewall? Well, the overwhelming majority of connected institutions do not decrypt traffic on the border firewall and then re-encrypt to send to the load balancer, because the cost for sizing the firewall for the heavy load and lift of decryption and re-encrypt is especially large. Remember, application-based firewalls, or WAF, are the specialty of enabled load balancers. They perform this task amazingly well. As a general statement, security is a must. Now, when it comes to management and observability, there's good news. A plurality of 39% of survey respondents told EMA that they prefer to manage their load balancers via the centralized management platform offered by their load balancing vendor. A small number of users preferred command line interfaces and third-party management platforms. Centralized management is key to simplifying observability, gating real-time health alerting, and security notifications to ensure a standardized SLA or service level agreement that a company has established can be achieved. The days of managing each individual component that assists in publishing applications is gone. Really good technical talent, especially with a security focus, is hard to come by. Look at any of the published articles on the skill set of cybersecurity, and you'll see that it's a major demand for IT professionals. Bottom line, complexity needs to be removed. Remember previously per EMA, ease of implementation matters? Well, management from a single pane does too. It reduces pain. I know, that was painful. We also learned about repatriation. Repatriation. Now, the dictionary defines repatriation as the process of returning an asset, an item, or a person to its owner or their place of origin. In this case, repatriation is the notion that IT teams are moving apps from public cloud environments back home to their on-premise environments where they originated. Now, there are some IT teams that published newly deployed apps into public cloud, but the cost for some of those apps have proven to be rather costly. This is, of course, an issue where costs spiral out of control. I think it's rather common for companies to move certain assets to the cloud and then realize that it was way more expensive to host those apps there versus self-hosted in an on-prem environment. This is precisely why repatriation occurs. The excitement from finance departments dwindles ever so quickly. Now, this isn't always the case, but it certainly was reflected in the EMA report. If you look at the 75% of respondents reporting coming back home activity. If you swing over to Information Week online, not now, but after the webinar, of course, search for the article titled 10 IT Trends to Watch for This Year. Pay attention to the first trend, considering it aligns really well with what I'm sharing from the EMA report. Actually, let me provide a quote that states the point from that article. In 2024, I predict a slowdown or even a reversal of this trend, says Karthik Ranganathan, Yugabyte founder and CTO. Enterprises will become more principled in which workloads they move to the public clouds, and in some cases, migrate workloads back to private cloud environments. This is because high-scale workloads, which exhibit stable throughput and performance, can be optimized to run more efficiently in private cloud environments. I agree. In these cost-conscious times, enterprises that once flocked to the public cloud will revisit the rent versus buy economics of public and private cloud infrastructure when deciding where to run their applications, he adds. There's the reference for it. Search for it. Nothing like a good piece of evidence in my book. Now, according to Reuters from 2022, and I quote, Elon Musk has directed Twitter Inc.'s teams to find up to $1 billion in annual infrastructure cost savings, according to two sources familiar with the matter and an internal Slack message reviewed by Reuters, raising concerns that Twitter could go down during high traffic events like the US midterm elections. The company is aiming to find between 1.5 million and 3 million a day in savings from servers and cloud services, said the Slack message, which referred to the project as Deep Cuts Plan. Twitter is currently losing about 3 million a day, with all spending and revenue considered, according to an internal document reviewed by Reuters. Twitter did not immediately respond to a request for comment, close quote. Okay, back to the EMA report. As noted, about 75% of respondents report repatriation activity. Repatriation is driven by cost optimization, performance requirements, security risks, and compliance. This activity had an affinity with a couple of drivers of change in load balancing strategies. One, vendor issues, and two, IT leadership changes. Okay, so I did a bit more research on this topic. Yes, it's true. I'm being slightly pedantic in my focus on data here, but I love this stuff. And as I noted before, good data helps decision makers make good decisions. I took a peek at what Gartner had to say about public cloud. So what did they say then? Another wonderful question. Now, this is staggering. Gartner predicts that worldwide end user spending on public cloud services will reach 591.8 billion in 2023, up from 490.3 billion in 2022. Okay, that's happened already. It's 2024, Andy. So what? Well, they estimate, based on current spend projections, that by the end of 24, public cloud spend will reach a nominal 725 billion. Take that in. Over 200 billion of growth in 2 years. The massive growth in app migration to public cloud, or native apps being developed for initial publishing in those cloud environments, requires the adoption of load balancers to publish those apps. Do I fundamentally believe that load balancing is relevant and growing? I 100% do believe that logic. I'm completely convinced, actually. I also know, based on the evidence, that repatriation is occurring. The focus is a strategic one. Some apps stay in cloud, and some new apps will continue to be published there. Then other apps will return home. Regardless, app sprawl is massive, either which way you look at it, and it's quite exciting. Yes, not only did I finally make it out of that last slide, but finally, Kubernetes is mainstream. Now, considering 69% have deployed production applications on it, which is actually no surprise. He's the new kid on the block, and he's popular. So by 2026, the percentage of applications living on Kubernetes will grow from 32% today to 47%. 67% use a Kubernetes controller deployed as a container, and 30% deploy a controller external to the Kubernetes environment, which is exactly where Progress Kemp LoadMaster plays well with Kubernetes, if you were wondering. Respondents to the EMA report singled out application security and application performance as what were the biggest problems. Ease of configuration is a secondary issue, but security teams are more worried about it than others. Users want load balancer vendors to improve this, making the API routing for microservices more friendly. The talk is about Kubernetes. Did you know, though, that all public cloud environments are built on some layer of virtual machines and container technology, and not necessarily Kubernetes for their foundation of the services they provide? Now, one amazingly popular container tech is LXC. It's a system container. You can read about LXC online, yes, after the webinar. Customers are not happy. Actually, enterprises are open to changing vendors. 80% of them said they are at least somewhat likely to change vendors over the next 2 years. And 27% were very likely. Application teams are more than likely to switch out of the different business units. People who said their interaction with load balancing occurs in the context of developing, testing, and deploying applications, which is DevOps, were the most likely to report strong interest in changing vendors. By the way, those teams are using open source load balancing frequently. So what's the probable cause for this? Load balancer virtualization and cloud migration. Software is less sticky than hardware, and that's a good thing. The marketing messages that resonate with a willingness to switch vendors are load balancing, global load balancing, application security, especially web application firewalls or WAF, and multi-cloud. Repatriation also correlates with new vendors. In the cloud, organizations may have used native load balancing solutions, but moving back to the data center, they can't bring the cloud solution with them. That's fairly obvious. Hey, even when companies continue to leverage native public cloud load balancers or deploy new ones. Guess what? Those LBs have so many gaps. They do a fraction of what a normal load balancer does. Where's the WAF? Oh, that's right. It's a separate service offered as a different component with different configurations, maintenance, and costs. Want to publish your apps across cloud environments, aka multi-cloud? Simple. LOL. Yes, I actually just said that. Use different load balancers across those environments, all with different SLAs, configurations, support options, analytics, etc., etc. It's genuinely a major challenge. By the way, the analytics that are provided on those solutions are super simple and minimal in nature. You get high level statistics, but try to troubleshoot in depth and forget it. Can you take a network trace from that native cloud load balancer to see if the latency issue your users are experiencing is client side or server side as a result of the cloud networking environment, the rented server instances, or the apps? Nope, not at all. It's super easy in the workflow to publish a new app in the cloud with the native load balancer. But when issues occur, and by the way, they do, it's honestly a nightmare to troubleshoot. The EMA report clearly identified that customers complained the most about limited security features, management complexity, and cost. Beyond the top three, cloud teams are specifically more likely to complain about scalability and observability too. Customers are not happy. There needs to be a better way to securely publish apps, regardless of whether those apps are in public cloud environments or on premises. Guess what? There is. All right. There are numerous load balancing solutions available, such as the native public cloud balancers we've discussed, A10, Barracuda, Radware, LoadBalancer.org, Nginx, HAProxy, and numerous other open source container-based solutions as well. But if you talk to Gartner about who you should chat with when evaluating or considering changing vendors, Progress, Kemp, LoadMaster, F5, and NetScaler are the three they always reference. However, what do we know as we think about the other big two? Well, F5. It's difficult to configure and manage. Multiple products interact whether they are used or not. iRules language requires advanced programming knowledge. No point and click configuration here. High cost for appliances, and many features customers will never need or use. What about the high number of recent security issues that I referenced earlier? How about NetScaler? There have been recent disruptions in sales, support, and engineering, which suggests a limited commitment to the product roadmap. Pay attention to all the job changes being posted in LinkedIn. Does this matter to you? NetScaler is very expensive. And with recent price increases and a change to a subscription model, why force your customers to buy the product the way you want them to? That's a mistake. This product is seen as a supporting player by Citrix software products like Storefront. So it's used frequently as what I'll term a pull-through solution to support Citrix software deployments. It's true that many customers do leverage NetScaler for pure load balancing and have nothing at all to do with Citrix Storefront. I do want to be fair in my comments. I'll finish with the comment that, like F5, there are numerous recent critical security issues that you can read about via online publications. One event in particular exposed 35.9 million customer usernames and passwords. I posed the question before, but do you really want to publish your important business applications behind load balancers with such critical security flaws? I'll leave that question for you to ponder. Anyway, when we think about how companies can future-proof with Progress, Kemp, LoadMaster, the natural question that needs to be asked is, why would they want to do that anyway? For starters, if you look at Trust Radius, LoadMaster is rated incredibly high. Enterprise, commercial, federal, and SMB orgs need a reliable and secure solution to deliver their critical apps for both internal and external consumers of their data. It's a requirement to have a solid product that delivers exceptional value at a price point that's also attractive to the wallet. In a practical way, How does LoadMaster deliver exceptional value? It's dirt simple to configure and manage. Point and click provisioning is embedded into the solution to greatly simplify deploying new web apps and ensuring that managing those web apps isn't going to be a cumbersome experience. When I reference the value that LoadMaster customers receive, I don't say that lightly. When compared with F5 products, the Progress Kemp LoadMaster typically offers 4 times the performance per dollar invested. That's nothing to sneeze at. When issues occur with web app delivery and customers are experiencing performance grief, time to root cause is super important. By the way, issues will occur. So extended time fiddling around trying to figure out what the actual cause of an issue isn't something that the C-suite is going to appreciate. This is precisely why having brilliant embedded network telemetry is essential for solving issues without grief and within a timely manner. LoadMaster doesn't simply leverage highly sampled S-flow. It has embedded IP-fixed NetFlow with loads of layer 7 detail that's been embedded to ensure problem solving can be very efficient. There are times that you'll want to engage a skilled vendor technical support engineer. The other last thing that you want is someone who isn't an expert and good at effective communication. The LoadMaster support team is bar none the very best in the industry, and we have the data to prove it. I referenced it before, but Gartner peer reviews provides the data to back up our claims. The other thing too, it's a fully featured commercial load balancer. One appliance with simple support subscription bundles that pack requisite app publishing functionality into a super easy to consume purchasing model versus the typical skew you to death approach for all the different features and functionality from other load balancer vendors and cloud providers. The LoadMaster is dirt simple to configure. Why introduce complexity that isn't needed? You don't need a programming background to leverage point and click app publishing in the LoadMaster. Hence, no expensive training classes required for initial learning and ongoing management. Why are the other solutions so expensive? That's a really good question. LoadMaster delivers exceptional value per dollar spent, or whatever currency you operate with. You'll recall from the EMA report detail, when it comes to management and observability, there is good news. A plurality of survey respondents told EMA that they prefer to manage their load balancers via the centralized management platform offered by their load balancing vendor. Listening to the report detail, coupled with talking directly to our own customers, Progress recently introduced LoadMaster 360. Let's sign in and look under the hood to see what it offers today and what's coming. This will only be a brief look at the interface. Yes, I want you to reach out to me for a much more comprehensive demo. Quick point here. Remember, this discussion also involves future-proofing your investment. Now, LoadMaster 360 doesn't lock you into the information that we want you to visualize. It enables great flexibility in creating dashboards and widgets that allow you to see precisely what's important to you. We don't want to assume that we know what's valuable to you. So flexibility is enabled as a default privilege. Do you want specific per app views? Do you want to know what protocols are used and what has been their availability in a time series of days? Easy. Do you need to know granular details on your object storage application, perhaps? We give you the requisite insight. Out of the gate, LoadMaster 360 supports a host of features and functions. Certificate lifecycle management, application analytics, and those are pretty deep. Authentication management, application delivery issue management, license for your load balancer management, usability and experience insight, single pane of glass. Coming soon, coming soon, coming soon. Well, as you can see from the coming soon detail, we have a host of new powerful features being built into this brilliant platform. This is a SaaS-based platform. When we talk about Progress product line integration, we mean it. Progress has some fantastic and very complementary products that will greatly improve how web apps are provisioned, deployed, and managed for compliance and configuration drift. LoadMaster 360 will ensure anomalous configuration engagements are not allowed to live. Provision web apps with a strong set of secure and comprehensive compliance policies in one unified place. You'll remember the introduction I gave at the start of the webinar and the brief review of the 4 products I am responsible for. This notion about Progress product line integration is all about your app delivery journey. In the coming soon features, Progress Chef is the configuration management, policy management, and enforcement engine. Oh yeah, it's also the deployment automation engine. Why not leverage the best in the business DevSecOps automation solution, Chef? That's precisely what we're doing. Now, I previously shared high-level detail about LoadMaster network telemetry. Well, that's Progress Flowmon integration under the hood for amazingly deep performance insight. I've not even touched on the brilliant cybersecurity functionality from the Flowmon integration and the infrastructure management integration from What's Up Gold either. Honestly, I simply don't have the time to do that on this webinar. The clear takeaway today is all about your app delivery journey. We're listening to the industry data and we're listening to our customers as well. We are directly aligning our product development efforts with where customers want to take their business. Today, we've invested quite a bit of time discussing the state of load balancing in 2024. The core topics were where load balancing sits today, what is going to impact it in the future, how critical technology is adapting along with the new architectures, industry trends that impact applications, how to future-proof with Progress Kemp LoadMaster. Thanks so much for sticking with me through the entirety of the webinar. We want you on your journey with us on your app delivery experience in 2024 and beyond. So don't be bashful. Reach out. You have my email address if you wrote it down. Remember, andy.redmond@progress.com. Now is your opportunity to ask questions or provide comments. And thanks again.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Andy, for taking the time today for this informative session on the state of load balancing in 2024. Again, as a reminder, we will be sending out a copy of the recording here today to your email that you registered with. Please go ahead and share with any colleagues that might be interested in this topic as well. And that'll conclude today's webinar. We hope you had enjoyed today's presentation in this session, and have a great rest of the day, everybody.